welcome back for another deep dive with us. Arsenal, they've been taking some heat lately, especially about their attack.
Yeah.
Gary Neville even came out and said they're way too focused on set pieces and thinks it's hurting their game. And we've got a really interesting article from the Standard that I think will help us break this down.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to figure out what's really going on with their attack.
Yeah.
And maybe uncover some bigger lessons about strengths and weaknesses, in general.
For sure. So it's kind of amazing how a single comment from someone like Gary Neville can set off this huge debate.
Yeah.
It really shows you how much people care about football.
Uh-huh.
And you know how every little detail gets scrutinized and analyzed?
Yes, totally. And he really didn't hold back either.
No.
He called their play rigid and turgid to watch and said that their focus on set pieces is taking over their whole game.
Yeah.
I mean, those are some pretty strong words.
Yeah.
But before we all get caught up in the drama, let's actually look at the facts here.
Right, exactly. And that's where this article that we have from the Standard comes in.
Yeah.
It actually directly challenges what Neville is saying.
Okay.
With a surprising statistic.
Okay.
Arsenal's goals from set pieces have actually dropped this season.
Yeah, that's right. So last season, they were at the top of the league with 20 set-piece goals.
Right.
This season, they only have 10, which puts them in 4th place.
Wow.
So if set pieces are supposedly ruining their game, shouldn't they be scoring more of them?
Yeah, you would think so.
Not less, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the article kind of suggests that maybe Neville's just focused on the wrong problem.
Okay.
And they point to a different culprit that's been plaguing Arsenal this whole time.
Okay.
Injuries.
Yeah.
And not just little injuries. We're talking major blows to their attacking lineup.
It's been brutal. Odegaard was out for 3 months with that really bad ankle injury. And then Saka has been struggling with a hamstring tear since December. Oh, wow.
And then to make things even worse, both Jesus and Havertz are out for the rest of the season.
Oh,
I mean,
that's rough.
Can you imagine trying to perform at your very best when your top people are just out of commission?
Yeah, it's like trying to run a company when your whole best team is suddenly unavailable.
Right.
You
can't do it.
It's going to affect your output no matter how strong you were before.
Yeah, for sure. Remember that amazing 5-1 win that they had against Man City?
Yeah.
Every single goal was from open play.
Right.
Which shows you just how dangerous their attack can be when they have everyone.
Totally.
But when you've got so many key players out, it's no surprise that their attack has kind of fizzled out.
And the article actually raises a really interesting point about that.
Okay.
They say that Arsenal actually missed a crucial opportunity in the January transfer window.
Yeah.
Because they didn't sign a forward.
Uh-huh.
So they basically left themselves vulnerable to exactly the situation. It's like they put all their eggs in one basket and then someone knocked it over.
Yeah.
They had this incredible attack, but they didn't have a plan B when things went wrong.
Right.
And I think the West Ham match was a perfect example of that.
Oh, really? How so?
Arteta had such limited options for substitutions.
Yeah.
He ended up bringing on 2 left backs because there was just nobody on the bench who could play up front.
Wow. So he was really scrambling.
Yeah.
So that really brings up a critical question for any team or even any individual, really.
Yeah.
Is over-reliance on your strength always risky? Even if it's brought you success in the past?
Right.
Is that a dangerous thing to do?
It really does, It makes you think about that backup plan.
Yeah.
Even if you're killing it, things can change so fast.
Exactly.
And you just got to be ready.
Absolutely. And it's like that old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Right.
But beyond that whole squad depth thing, the article also points out a tactical thing with Arsenal's attack.
Okay.
That could be a part of their struggles.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they point out that 45%
Wow.
of Arsenal's attacks come from the right side.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a pretty heavy reliance on just one side of the pitch.
Yeah, even if you've got guys like Saka and Odegaard over there.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. It's almost become predictable.
Yeah.
Opponents, they know where the danger is coming from.
Right.
They can just set up their defense accordingly.
It's like having a secret weapon that everyone knows about.
Exactly.
It's not so secret anymore.
Yeah, and the article suggests that, that predictability makes them easier to defend against.
Right.
Which further hurts their attack.
Makes sense.
So kind of raises the question,
yeah.
Is this over-reliance on the right side
a
deliberate choice by Arteta?
Interesting.
Or is it more like
Yeah.
they just don't have other options,
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe they just haven't, like, developed enough plays on the left.
right?
Or maybe they haven't had the right players to balance things out.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating tactical puzzle.
It is.
On the one hand, you've got Odegaard and Saka,
Yeah,
an amazing duo that can just tear apart defenses.
for sure.
But then on the other hand, they risk becoming one-dimensional,
Right.
and then easier to stop.
Totally. And the article actually takes this idea even further.
Well, really?
Yeah, they say that this whole Arsenal situation
Okay.
offers a valuable lesson for everyone,
Mhm.
whether we're talking about football business or even like personal growth.
Okay, I like that.
So they're saying that every team,
Yeah.
like every person or organization
Right.
has strengths and weaknesses.
For sure.
Right? And the key is to not let your strengths
Right.
become so big that you forget about your weaknesses.
Exactly.
Or that you can't adapt when things change.
Totally.
So it's not just about like knowing what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. Yeah.
It's also about how you manage them.
Right.
You always got to be assessing and adapting, making sure your strengths don't turn into weaknesses.
Exactly. It's all about balance,
Yeah.
and constantly evolving.
Right.
If you get too reliant on one skill or one strategy, you just become predictable and you get stuck.
Right.
You got to keep developing new skills and exploring new approaches and being ready to change when you need to.
Yeah, this reminds me of when I was learning guitar.
Oh, yeah.
I got really good at playing chords,
Uh-huh.
but I never really practiced finger picking.
Okay.
So when I tried to learn a song that needed finger picking, I just hit a wall.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'd become too reliant on one technique,
Makes sense.
and it totally held me back.
That's a really common trap that I think we all fall into.
Yeah.
Find something we're good at,
Uh-huh.
we just stick with it,
Yeah.
and sometimes it ends up hurting us in the long run.
Right.
True mastery comes from learning a bunch of skills and approaches.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So circling back to Arsenal. Yeah.
It seems like we shouldn't just be talking about set pieces.
Right.
The conversation should be about how they can mix up their attack,
Uh-huh.
develop more options, and just be less predictable.
Yeah, I agree.
It really seems like Neville's missing the bigger picture.
Yeah, I think so.
Arsenal's problems are a lot more complicated than just being obsessed with set pieces.
Right.
I mean, they've been slammed with injuries, and their tactics have gotten a bit predictable.
Yeah, and the article makes a good point, though. They don't totally let Arsenal off the hook.
Oh, how so?
Well, they say that Arsenal could have avoided some of this with better planning.
Okay.
Like maybe they should have signed another forward during the transfer window.
Yeah,
Or maybe they should focused on making their squad a little more versatile.
that's true. You can have like the best game plan ever,
Right.
but if you don't have the players to make it happen,
Yeah.
or if your players are always hurt, you're going to have problems.
Exactly. It's like trying to bake a cake without any flour. You can have all the other ingredients,
Yeah.
but it's just not going to work.
Yeah, you need all the pieces to make it happen.
Exactly. And this whole situation with Arsenal,
Yeah.
it makes you think about
Mm,
what things are we overlooking in our own lives,
right.
because we're so focused on our strengths.
It's easy to get caught up in what we're good at
Totally.
and forget about the things we need to work on.
Yeah, or we get so used to doing things a certain way that we don't realize it's become a problem.
Yeah, it's like driving a car with a blind spot.
Oh, yeah.
You might be fine for a while,
Uh,
but if you don't know it's there, you could crash.
that's a great analogy.
So if we're thinking about our own lives, the first thing we got to do is figure out where our blind spots are,
Yeah,
the places where we're maybe relying too much on one thing,
exactly.
and then we got to figure out how to fix it.
Right.
Whether that's learning new skills or seeing things from a different angle, we're just being honest with ourselves about what we're not good at.
And just like Arsenal needs to change things up and be less predictable,
Yeah.
we need to do the same in our own lives.
Right. We got to be ready to adapt,
Yeah,
be open to learning new things,
for sure.
and always be trying to improve.
Exactly. Always leveling up.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
We went from talking about Gary Neville and set pieces to a deep dive into our own strengths and weaknesses.
That's awesome.
It just goes to show that even something as simple as a comment about a football team
Right.
can make us think about our own lives.
Totally. It's a good reminder that we can always learn more.
Yeah, both on and off the pitch.
Exactly.
We'd love to hear what you guys think about all this.
Yeah.
What strengths are you maybe relying on too much? What are your blind spots?
Good question.
And how can you use these ideas to be even more successful in your own life?
I like it.
That about wraps up another deep dive.
Awesome.
We'll catch you on the next one.